To create a gradient, you first must have a shape that you wish to place the gradient inside. While the shape is selected, click the gradient box to apply the gradient. This gradient box is found in the toolbar, which you must open through the window. Next, open the gradient window by clicking Window and then pressing Gradient. This will allow you to edit the gradient. You can select from various presets as shown. You're also probably wondering how you can create your own gradient, and there's honestly a variety of ways to do this in the gradient window. Double-click a color box to change one of the colors of the gradient. Within this color tab, you can easily change the opacity of the color as shown. You can also click anywhere along the gradient slider to add a color to the gradient, and you can add it as many colors as you want. You can also delete colors from the gradient by selecting the color and then pressing the trash button to the right. You can further manipulate the gradient by sliding the boxes around to achieve the desired effect. If you want, you can also change the gradient from a linear to a radial gradient, and this type of gradient would usually be applied inside of a shape such as like a circle. You can also change the angle of the gradient as shown. For a radial gradient, you can even change the aspect ratio of the gradient, which is basically the ratio of the width to the height of the gradient. If you want, you can even use the eyedropper tool, as shown, to add a desired color to the gradient. Here's an extra tip. If the gradient appears too harsh, adding two boxes alongside the color and then dragging them as necessary may assist in smoothing the gradient out. For additional refinement of the gradient, something called the gradient tool comes in handy. The main advantage of this tool is that it allows you to directly edit the gradient on the shape itself. To access this tool, press on the gradient tool in the toolbar or press G on your keyboard. Once this is open, you can move the gradient around inside the shape by pressing and moving the circle at the bottom of this line that appears. Furthermore, you can change the length of the gradient by pressing and moving the square. You can also change the locations of the colors directly on the shape by pressing and dragging the pentagons. If you want to create a gradient within a path or line, first you have to obviously have the path that you wish to place the gradient in. This can be a line segment, a path created by the pen tool, the border of a shape, or basically any other path in Illustrator. Now, to actually apply gradient to this path, you first want to make sure the stroke is selected in the chips, which basically looks like the border and not the fill. If the fill is selected, you will not be able to apply the gradient to the path. While the path is selected, and once you made sure that you're selected on the stroke, you want to click the gradient box, as we did with the shape, to apply the gradient. Next, open the gradient window once again by pressing Window and then Gradient to edit the gradient. Here you can select from 3 different stroke options as shown. You can make the same edits as with the shape gradients, except the only thing you can't do is change the angle. If you want to edit the weight of this line so that the gradient is more or less wide and visible, you want to open the stroke window by pressing Window and Stroke. From here, you can indicate the exact width in pixels that you desire. Another feature regarding gradients that you may find will come in handy is saving the gradients themselves. To do this, you want to have the gradient window open and then have the gradient created that you wish to save. Next, press the down arrow next to the gradient and click the button that says Add to Swatches. Now the gradient preset is saved and can easily be accessed in the future by selecting from the various gradient swatches.